Now, going on to the culture part of the podcast, you have Disney versus Hostile Takeover by Nelson Peltz, who's best known for removing politics in order to save companies. Now, it looks like this may very well be what Disney needs to actually survive. Disney is kind of like a patient in a hospital with a lot of tumors, a lot of growing tumors, unfortunately. It used to be very strong, it used to be very great, but it's just become more and more toxic, and the bad parts are growing exponentially faster than the good parts. And a lot of people are wondering, how can we fix this? Does Bob Iger, does he have the capacity to fix it? He claimed he was going to do lots of great things when he came back as CEO, but the content just got worse. Fiscally, the company got worse. Disney Plus still has not made a profit, which, again, that just shows how perhaps that might be the business blunder of the century. They can't make a profit on streaming yet, when they have one of the largest vaults of intellectual property I could possibly imagine. That's ridiculous to say the least. So a lot of people are saying, well, maybe we need to remove the politics. Bob Iger sure as hell can't do it. Now, it looks like an activist investor may very well be able to. Now, Nelson Peltz, and this is according to dailymail.com, he actually, with his investment firm, ramped up their stake in the company, and he's wanting to get a couple of places on the board. And this is as shares of Disney go to a 10-year low under Bob Iger, which, again, is something of the business blunder of the century. Disney stock at a 10-year low? That's pathetic. That shows you how much people hate politics and content when the content is designed for a mass audience. It's just ridiculous to say the least. Disney, when I was growing up, it was known as a blue chip stock. Everyone knew that you weren't going to go. It wasn't going to be a hockey stick. It wasn't going to be a big spike with Disney. You weren't going to get rich overnight. But they knew it was a stable, proven company that produced great content for everyone, great theme parks for many, and throughout the years, you just knew it was going to go up consistently over time. It was a blue chip stock. Now, I'm trying to think, what's the opposite of blue chip stock? It's more like we must come up with a fun term together. Not blue chip stock. Perhaps a dead mouse in a mousetrap? No. A mouse with a broken leg in a mousetrap perhaps is the best metaphor. It's still crawling around awkwardly, and a lot of people are wondering what on earth is it doing, but it is still technically alive like Disney is today. It's technically alive, but they're alienating more and more of their audience by injecting politics into all their materials, and I think a lot of people are just fed up with it. We just talked about Rasputin poll where it showed a majority of Republicans are moving away from Disney, while you are having more and more Democrats embrace and love Disney. So again, it's still an overall loss of consumers. They are invigorating and making people on the very left very happy with the themes and things that they're putting into films, which is quite concerning that people are actually happy that they're putting sexual themes into children's materials. That's quite concerning to say the least. Nevertheless, they are increasing their market share with that, the leftists, or the people on the very left, but the people in the middle, I would argue the people in the middle and the right, they're all alienated as all hell, and they don't want to be there anymore, so they're not tuning in as much. Now, again, their stock is at a 10-year low. Now, it looks like Mr. Peltz has been buying up more and more Disney shares, and it looks like they now own a little bit more than $2.5 billion in Disney stock. Wow. They have about 30 million shares. And it looks like this fund is now one of Disney's biggest investors. And again, when you become a large enough investor of a company, there's certain benefits to that, including, in some cases, places on the board of directors, which many will debate what the purpose is in terms of, are they supposed to override the CEO? Are they supposed to give the CEO more input, help him make better decisions, maybe round out their character? But at the end of the day, I would say most people would say the board of directors are there to help balance the CEO and give him more information, more perspectives, and collectively, in theory, make the business do better overall. Now, it looks like Peltz actually had a proxy war a little while back when he was saying, hey, look at your overall costs. They're ballooning exponentially. You need to cut your costs. And he was arguing for a seat on the board. And it appeared as if, again, from what I gather, is that he backed off once Iger said, yeah, we're going to cut 7,000 employees and a couple billion on their cost. Now, it looks like Disney shares have gone down to their low, the lowest in a decade. Low is $83.60 per share. That is abysmal to say the least. Let me see here. Yeah. Specifically, so Peltz withdrew his initial proxy fight in February in 2023 after Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, returned to his previous role and unveiled a cost-cutting plan of about 7,000 layoffs and restructuring to save around $5.5 billion. Let's see here. Can't. Now, in terms of historicals, again, they didn't do the best, but it looks like Peltz has a long-term career of investing in companies and having them remove themselves from politics, which subsequently helped increase the stock in their sales. Now, it looks like in 2021, he confronted Ben & Jerry's owner Unilever, which is one of the most hilarious, hypocritical companies you could possibly imagine. I may or may not have a small grudge because their original product that I know is Axe body spray, which in the commercials, if you sprayed it on you, attractive women would all rush towards you. I did that in a Walgreens it was a CVS aisle. The girl just gave me a weird look. It did not work, to say the least. False advertising, I would argue. Now, interestingly enough, that commercial shows attractive women, and some might call that pejorative or sexist. Now, on the flip side, Unilever owns Dove. Now, Dove, the soap company, has pictures of every type of woman, from ones that could fit in a car to ones that would break a car suspension, and they claim that all women are beautiful. And they are very feminist, so to say. And hilariously enough, it's the same company that owns Axe body spray, which many would say is the antithesis of feminist. So I always thought that was interesting. They also own ice cream companies, where perhaps that's why they have, what's a nice way of saying obese? Large models for Dove soap, because the more ice cream they sell them, the more soap they can sell them, because there's a lot of surface area. Makes sense, perhaps. Now, it looks like in 2021, you have Peltz confronted Ben & Jerry's owner Unilever about its many political statements. He told the ice cream manufacturer it was a mistake for the company to get involved in such issues as Palestine's conflict with Israel. At the time, Ben & Jerry's had vowed to stop selling ice cream in Palestine territories. Almost a year after the conversation with Unilever CEO Alan Jope, Peltz joined his board, and the shares rose by 7%. So it looks like the shareholders also appreciate his involvement with these companies, because, again, if you're a shareholder and you're wondering, why the hell is Disney making content that's alienated 20, 30, 50% of the audience? Their sales are subsequently going to go down, of course. So there's just the news of getting someone on the ship to actually right the ship, or at Disney, instead of ships, maybe someone in the castle, so to say, to right the castle. That would probably have a huge impact on the stock. I wouldn't be surprised if it went up quite a bit. It looks like, in terms of Peltz's other career successes, he and his partners actually acquired Snapple from Quaker Oats in 1997. It was like, and that was, next, let's see here. So he has a long track record. Got a lot of names like Procter & Gamble joining the boards there. 1997, he acquired Snapple from Quaker Oats, turned it around, selling it to Schweppes in 2007, when he masterminded Cadbury splitting into confectionery arm from Schweppes to huge success. So he has an ever-increasing amount of success throughout his career. The only question is Disney too far gone to be saved at this point? One of the issues is they have an army of employees who are ideologists, also known as activists. They want to inject these things into the content. So you'd have to really clean house, similar to Twitter. And even Twitter still has issues to this day, partially because of the advertising, and I would also argue because of Elon hiring Linda Yaccarino, or Macarena, I forget. But he hired her, and her whole job is advertisements. And they usually like censorship. So I would think there's still a fair amount of activists at Twitter, which is why you still also see censorship. But in this case, would you have to just fire everyone and start from square one, so to say? Could Disney be saved? That's a real question. It looks like he's increasing his stake. He's getting more and more of their stock. Does he just want to oust the CEO? I can't help but think perhaps any CEO would be doing a better job. I mean, Bob Iger, he's helping in regard to he is decreasing the cost, which they need desperately, especially when it comes to their movie productions. They've lost about $2 billion on these movies and films recently, partially because they're injecting terrible ideologies into them as well, but also because they're just way too expensive to make. Look at Marvel films. Those cost so much money. The only way they could possibly even make a profit is if they make billions upon billions of dollars, and they're out. That's just not happening anymore. It's one of those things where I think a lot of people are fed up with the Star Wars films, which Disney also owns, the Marvel films. They just oversaturated the market with so much volume of crap. I mean, great eloquence, really brilliant writing, very, very cerebrally challenging. I can't even say that with a straight face. It's mostly just hogwasher. Kind of like a roller coaster, some might say, in terms of media consummate. But what do you think? Do you think Disney could be saved? Will he actually take place or replace the CEO? Is that what he's pushing for? Does he simply just want to get a majority of the board of directors, which gives them power in and of itself? It'll be interesting to see. What do I think? My 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation, gotta do 3 cents. Should be 4 cents, but I'm a generous man. Though, it is still free to click the subscribe button. I think this investor does have he has a successful track record of turning these companies around. I think he could do it. He would need a majority of the seats on the board of directors, and they would need to fire everyone and just just reset the whole thing. Especially the people who are making content. Because that's, when you look at the Disney fiscals, like where they're making money, where they're losing money, they're still making money in the parks. Which, don't get me wrong, they have problems in themselves. But the parks, especially overseas, are very well, they're doing very well, physically speaking. The media is where they are just doing terrible. I mean, Disney Plus, their streaming is still losing money. And then, of course, all the movies are losing money as well. So you need a majority on the board of directors. They really need to fire a bunch of those folks. And then you'd have to have a whole media campaign and advertising campaign to let people know, hey, we're done with politics. We want everyone to be our consumer. And even then, I would still highly implore parents to actually screen the films, aka preview the films before you let your kids watch them, because Lord only knows what they're trying to sneak past you these days. But I think they also need a new CEO to say, hey, I'm going to personally inspect every piece of media we create, and I'm going to give it a green stamp or not. I'm going to promise we will not have politics in our content. If they do those things, I think they would have a great chance of winning the overall market share in the United States again. There's such a high barrier. There's so many variables. I don't think the odds of that are very high, but I think it could happen. And if it were to fix the company, that would be the way about. You would have to do it, so to say. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Disney can be saved anytime soon? It'll be interesting to see, but as I always say, time shall tell. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October, so if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, I'm not a doctor, but it may help with the stuttering that I have. If you click that button, it might be the cure. We don't know, but together we could find out. Also, I greatly appreciate your feedback, especially if it's critical, because that's how you grow the most. So if you leave a comment, I greatly appreciate it. Also, liking the channel may or may not help. I have no idea how the algorithm works. It seems to change like the weather, but liking the videos is a good indicator that I'm doing a good job, or downvoting if I need to change some of the things accordingly. Also, lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.